Now we'll move on to the next topic, next talk of the symposium by Dr. Sumitra Velury. She is actually in United States now, attending a very tragic event in her family. When I requested her to talk about this topic, she readily agreed. Thank you very much, ma'am. And she originally agreed to send a recorded video, but later she was kind enough to decide to give a live talk today. And the topic, she is a PhD in the classical Kuchipudi dance tradition, and she has contributed a lot of research on classical dances of the Telugu states. She contributed topics to our symposiums also earlier. And with her deep research experience today, she is going to contribute on Adhyatma Ramayana Sankirtana performance as a genre. Adhyatma Ramayana Kirtana, Adhyatma Ramayana itself is a variety of Ramayana. And Adhyatma Ramayana becoming a Kirtana itself is an interesting phenomena. And that becoming a dance genre is one more twist in the story. So she is going to talk about that very interesting phenomena of these layers and layers of Ramayana to Adhyatma Ramayana to the lyrics of Adhyatma Ramayana to that becoming a dance genre. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Yeah. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for having me in this great symposium. First of all, my apologies for not preparing a PPT, as I told you that I'm busy with other things, but I'll be going through my presentation. I'll be reading here and there and I'll try to make it a better presentation. Yeah. So since morning, we have been hearing about Ramayana presented by several people from different connotations and contexts. We totally understand that Ramayana is not merely an itihasa, but rather a chronicle that occupies a distinctive place in both historical consciousness and the storytelling traditions of South Asia. Its narrative has enjoyed enduring and widespread popularity across the Indian subcontinent, Bangladesh, Nepal, Sri Lanka, as well as throughout the Southeast Asia, where the diverse versions have emerged in countries such as Thailand, Cambodia, Laos, Vietnam, Indonesia, and several other countries. While the central narrative concerning the exile and the tribulations of Prince Rama and Princess Sita, and of course their companions, remains broadly consistent, the regional adaptations have demonstrated remarkable literary and cultural creativity. Rather than simply translating the original version of the epic, poets, storytellers, and the composers across the linguistic and regional contexts have re-articulated the Ramayana in their own idioms that we have been listening since morning. These retellings are often infused with the local aesthetics, philosophical perspectives, and devotional insights, I must say. The multiplicity of Ramayana texts in various languages attests to the profound resonance of Rama and Sita as cultural and spiritual archetypes in the collective consciousness of the diverse communities. Among the many notable versions of Ramayana, some of them are like Adhyatma Ramayana, about which I'm going to talk today, Ascharya Ramayana, Kamba Ramayana, Ananda Ramayana, Bhaskara Ramayana, Govinda Ramayana, Saptarshi Ramayana, Narada Ramayana, Ramacharitra Manasa, Ramayana Kalparuksha, Ramayana Darshanam, so on, and the list never ends, in fact. So each of these works brings its own unique interpretative framework to the epic narrative. Although the fundamental storyline remains intact, the author's emotional sensibilities, that is the bhavana we call it, and the philosophical orientation, the devotional fervor shape the portrayal of the events and the characters. The diverse versions are not merely products of imaginative elaboration, but are better understood as revelatory experiences in which Ramayana manifests itself differently to each of the composers. As such, these retellings reflect the individual's realization of the epic's more profound truths rather than the fictional events. The Adhyatma Ramayana is one such version traditionally attributed to sage Vedavyasa. Given the existence of Valmiki's canonical version, a natural question arises regarding its necessity. The answer lies in its distinct purpose. While Valmiki's Ramayana offers a primarily a narrative exposition of Rama's life, the Adhyatma Ramayana seeks to elucidate the epic spiritual significance within the framework of the Advaita Vedanta and the Bhakti tradition. The very title Adhyatma Ramayana signals its thematic orientation. A spiritualized retelling of the Ramayana, whereas Valmiki presents the outer narrative focusing on the dharma and the heroic action. The Adhyatma Ramayana serves as a philosophical commentary on the inner dimensions of the Rama story. Its principal objective is to demonstrate the synthesis of bhakti and jnana, that is devotion and the knowledge, advocating for their inseparability in pursuing the spiritual realization. The text contains numerous hymns when it comes to Vyasa's Adhyatma Ramayana and dialogues that are Advaitic in their metaphysical content, yet rendered in a tone of deep devotional intensity. In this way, Adhyatma Ramayana occupies a unique position within the Ramayana tradition, not as mere retelling, but as spiritually charged reinterpretation aimed at guiding aspirants toward the realization of non-dual truth, that is Advaita, through the path of devotion. For centuries, India has witnessed the flourishing tradition of Vagyakaras, poet composers of varying renown, particularly in the domain of Carnatic music. Earlier, we heard Subramaniam sir talking about all these people, but just a simple information about them. These composers have crafted devotional works in the frame of or in the form of padas, kirtanas, kritis, and other musical genres to venerate their chosen deities, seek the divine grace, and express profound spiritual sentiment. Among the most celebrated figures in this devotional musical tradition is Lord Sri Rama, revered as one of the 10 incarnations of Vishnu and the supreme reality, that is the Parabrahma himself. Lord Sri Rama has been a source of deep inspiration for numerous composers whose works reflect an enduring and expanding the devotional movement centered on Sri Rama. The Telugu language in particular has been enriched by the contributions of several distinguished Vagyakaras, many of whom have achieved the lasting fame. Of course, we heard their music at two presenters before. The paramount among them is the illustrious Sadguru Sri Tyagaraja, whose eminence in the world of Carnatic music is universally acknowledged and needs no elaborate justification. Tyagaraja's reverence extended to earlier devotees as well, most notably the Kancharla Gopana, popularly known as Bhadrachala Ramadasa, who preceded him probably nearly a century. And Ramadasa's compositions, characterized by ecstatic devotion and often framed as intimate dialogues with Sri Rama, remain deeply embedded in the cultural memory of Telugu-speaking households. And we also sing the bhajans of Ramadasu during the Ramanavami festival. Another noteworthy devotee of Sri Rama was Tumu Narasimhadasu, a contemporary of Tyagaraja, who also composed a significant corpus of kirtanas inspired by the Rama Bhakti, many of which continue to be sung across Telugu regions. In fact, Tumu Narasimhadasu songs were also sung by household women. Even earlier, Talapaka Annamacharya, honored as Padakavita Pitamaha, has also composed Sankirtanas extolling Rama in both Telugu and Sanskrit, establishing a foundational legacy in devotional music literature. In more recent years, recent times I must say, probably, composers such as Sri Adibhatla Narayanadasa, known for his Harikadas on the Ramayana, along with the Hari Nagabhushanam, Sri Sonti Sitaramaya Garu and Srimati Saundaryavalli have contributed to the rich body of Telugu musical compositions dedicated to Sri Rama. Among these distinguished lineage of composers inspired by Rama Bhakti, Munipalla Subramanya Kavi occupies a unique and significant position as an author of Adhyatma Ramayana Kirtanas. A precursor to Tyagaraja, Subramanya Kavi belonged to the 18th century and stands out for his singular endeavor to render the philosophical and devotional essence of Adhyatma Ramayana into Telugu Kirtanas. Now, most of the Vagyakaras whom I have mentioned earlier, like Tyagaraja, Ramadasu, and everyone, have drawn upon Ramayana tradition, its narrative episodes, characters, and spiritual themes, not merely to recount the Rama's earthly life, but to symbolically express their personal spiritual experiences and devotional states. Figures such as Sita, Lakshmana, Hanuman, Vibhishana, and of course, even Ramana are invoked not solely for their mythological roles, but as vehicles through which these composers illustrates the complexities of human longing, the surrender, despair, and the divine ecstasy. In this context, Munipalla Subramanya Kavi's Adhyatma Ramayana Kirtanas mark a distinctive contribution as they seek not just to evoke Rama's story, but to interpret and embody the Adhyatma Ramayana's deeper metaphysical vision through the accessible and emotive medium of Telugu musical composition. Now, inspired by sage Vedavyasa's Adhyatma Ramayana, poet Munipalla Subramanya Kavi has translated the entire Adhyatma Ramayana into Telugu as Kirtanas, a musical work. This magnum opus is operatic in nature, which in turn attracted many composers and of course the choreographers to stage it. Adhyatma Ramayana is a conversation between Lord Shiva and Parvati. In the spiritual field, this Ramayana has immense significance. It is said that it is extremely popular in the form of folk songs sung in the villages, especially in Karnataka, Andhra, of course, even in Telangana, the Telugu region basically, and Tamil Nadu during the festivities and the marriages too. In earlier days, during the Harikadas and evening programs held at temples, Adhyatma Ramayana was propagated. Discussions were held on it to bring out the essence of Adhyatma Ramayana. With the widespread popularization of Adhyatma Ramayana Kirtanas composed by Munipalla Subramanya Kavi, the traditional wisdom embedded in the Vedas, Upanishads, and other profound philosophical systems gradually permeated to all the strata of the society as women and the folk were singing these songs. These compositions function as vehicles for disseminating the spiritual, metaphysical knowledge, thereby transforming what was once the preserve of the learned elite into a shared cultural inheritance. Now, consequently, even those who were uneducated or let me put it in this way, who are not introduced to the formal system of education could access internalize, and embody refined ethical and spiritual values, thus attaining a form of cultural and intellectual upliftment. Let me give you a brief introduction about the poet Munipalle Subramanya Kavi. Subramanya Kavi lived between 1730 and 1780 of Christian era from the village of Munipalle in Krishna district, Andhra Pradesh, was one of the pioneers in classical music. He is Ubhaya Bhasha Pravina. He is versatile in Telugu and Sanskrit and received royal patronage from the ruler of the Kalahasti known as Damarla Timmappa Nayaka. Now, we all know who is a Vaggayakara, one who is proficient in both Sahitya and the Gayam, or Matu and Dhatu to be more precise, is an Vaggayakara. Since Subramanya Kavi is well versed in music and Sahitya, he comes into the category of the Vaggayakara. Munipalle Subramanya Kavi's poetic achievements are notable in several dimensions. Even though Munipalle's language isn't very simple, it becomes very expressive and beautiful, especially in the parts about while he was delineating the devotion in his kirtanas. The sonorous flow of its verses lends it a quite an unique charm, I must say. Let us look at some of the mudras used in his kirtana. Sesha Sailadhisa, in the very first kirtana, that is Namah Sivayate, Seshachaladhisu in Sri Ramani Ganchanu kirtana, Seshagirisuni in Vinavagade kirtana, Seshadrisu in Sri Rajatachala Sadhana kirtana, Seshadripati in Sri Gauri Vachodita Sauri, and so on, so on, so on. So we can infer that Sesha, Seshachala, Seshagiri, Seshagiri Nilaya, Seshadripati. So Sesha is the mudra that we can find in Munipalle Subramanya Kavi's kirtanas. Now, all these kirtanas are composed in lucid Telugu, often employing classical ragas and talas, which are very, very conducive to performance. Now, this musicality ensures their relevance in both devotional singing and dance interpretation also. While the narrative adheres to the epic's flow, the poet seamlessly incorporates Vedantic ideas. Rama is seen as an embodiment of Satchidananda, and the world is as his divine play, that is Leela. The compositions are replete with rasa, the aesthetic essence that sustains classical Indian art. The dominant emotions we can find in Adhyatma Ramayana is bhakti, of course, the devotion, karuna, the pathos, Veeram, the heroism, and Shringara, love. Of course, we find the other rasas also, as we heard in the morning. Now, these allow for diverse expressive possibilities in dance. Many kirtanas are crafted as dialogues, monologues, churnikas, or emotional outpourings. This theatrical quality aligns perfectly with the abhinaya in dance traditions like Kuchipudi and Bharatanatyam. We heard Ananda Shankarji. Now, let me give you a very brief introduction to the work. Just like in Ramayana, here also we find 6 kandas. Adhyatma Ramayana is organized into 6 kandas. Balakanda, the chapter begins with describing the Brahmaswarup. Rama descended to the earth as a human being, of course, for Dushta Sikshana and Sishta Rakshana. The chapter also includes Rama's childhood and the story of Ahalya's deliverance by Rama. This Balakandam has got 18 kirtanas, almost all. Ayodhya Kanda describes the life of Ayodhya, including Rama's exile, the death of his father Dasharatha. And this Kanda has got almost all 9 kirtanas. Aranya Kanda includes the Surpanaka's episode, Maricha's episode, and the abduction of Sita by Ravana. And this Kanda has got 11 kirtanas. This chapter, Kishkinda Kanda, describes Sugriva and Rama's friendship, Vali's killing, and the initiation of an active search for Sita. This Kanda has got 10 Kirtanas. Sundarakanda details the Hanuman's arrival and activities of Hanuma in Lanka. And this Kanda has got 10 Kirtanas. And of course, the final one, Yuddha Kanda, it contains details of the battles between the Rama's army and the Ravana's. Of course, culminating in Ravana's killing, the Rama's coronation upon his return to Ayodhya from Lanka. And just imagine, this Yuddhakanda alone has got 47 Kirtanas. Like in Vyasa's Adhyatma Ramayana, Subramanya Kavi also portrayed Lord Rama's Parabrahma Swarupa and Sita Devi's Adimaya in this work, conveying that Jivatma and Paramatma are the same. Of course, while giving the details about all these kandas, I didn't go into much of the details, as most of us are aware of the different episodes that are involved in each of the kanda. To make it very brief, I just told you the important episodes only. Adhyatma Ramayana starts with the Lord Shiva narrating to his consort Parvati the greatness of Lord Rama on Parvati's request. Further, to Bhudevi's lament of the increased grossness engulfing society at large, Lord Shiva says that Lord Vishnu promised to take an avatar as Rama to take care of this situation. Dushta Sikshana, Sishta Rakshana, as I told you. Thus, the entire story is enacted as a predestined Leela Natakam. The very first song, when Parvati asks Shiva, before asking a question to Shiva, she praises Shiva. So this begins with the Parvati praising Lord Shiva. I'll do a little demo here, maybe for half a minute. Subramaniam sir and others, those who are well versed with the music and all, kindly excuse me for my singing. I'll let you know why I'm singing like this a little bit later. Of course, I'm not a singer though. Now, the praise of Lord Shiva by Parvati goes like this. And one more disclaimer I just would like to make along with my musicality. Because of the restrained framework, I am restraining my hand movements also, so that you will not miss any movements or hand gestures. So even though I have to expand my hands with the movements, I'm just restricting myself to fit into the framework, right? So the song goes like this. Namah Shivaya Te Namo Bhavaya Hara Hara Namah Shivaya Te Namo Bhavaya Hara Hara Samanadhika Rahitaya Samanadhika Rahitaya Shantaya Swaprakasaya Samanadhika Rahitaya Shantaya Swaprakasaya Pramoda Purnaya Bhaktauga Palanaya Pramoda Purnaya Bhaktauga Palanaya Namah Shivaya Te Namo Bhavaya Hara Hara Namah Shivaya Te Namo Bhavaya Hara Hara Namah Shivaya Te Namo Bhavaya. Like this, in this particular Kirtana, where we are describing Lord Shiva, as a Kuchipudi dancer, we would like to incorporate all the ayudhas and all the properties that the Lord Shiva is holding upon. Now, the emotive depth and the clear rhythmic structure of these kirtanas make them highly adaptable for Indian classical dance that values both narrative expression and technical purity. All the kirtanas have all the musical features of a kirtana, their form and the structure with the pallavi, anupallavi, charanas, mudra. The great variety in the ragas are employed in that. So when I talk about the ragas, we can understand that the familiar ones as well as the rare ones, and the unusual usages, we can call them as apurva prayogas in them, and their decorative angas also. Now, let us look at some of the ragas that were employed in Adhyatma Ramayana. To be very brief, Dhanyasi, Bhairavi, Regupti, Kedaragaula, Saveri, Kannada, Sankarabharana, Mukhari, Begada, Nadanamakriya, Todi, Ananda Bhairavi, and the list goes on, right? So while the Carnatic musicians follow the ragas like these, the women folk used to sing in simple homely tunes, mostly how the women sing for the playful songs and work songs and lullabies, like to give you an example. ఇంటి చెంగల్వబంతి చెలువల మేల్బంతి గుణములదొంతి వినవే పదియారు వన్నియ బంగారు వలె తనువు పొదల మేనిపై వెండి పువ్వుల వలె చుక్కలు గుదిగొనమణి రుచుల కొమరారు కొమ్మలు కొమ్ములు కొమదరత్నములనగ గొరిసెలు తనరగా నుదుట నీలము ఓలె కన్గొనయప్ప మారీచుండులేడి అయి కదలి శేషగిరీసుడగు రాఘవుడున్న పంచవటికి చేరే. So these tunes are very, very simple for a household woman to sing. Similar to almost all the Strila Patalu we call Suvi Suvi Ramachandra, Suvi Suvi Kirti Sandra, Suvi Sitamma Maku Subhamulimma. So these are the very simple tunes. In Telangana region, we also see the Batkama songs sung in very popular tunes, and which are very catchy and easy for a congregational singing. Right. So the Natya Sangeeta, when the Karnataka musicians sing so beautifully like Subramaniam sir, and the women folk sing in the style what I sang just now, when it comes to the Natya Sangeeta, that is the music for dance, differs slightly from the classical rendering, although the same ragas are employed. It is permitted for the Kuchipudi dancers to make an Anyaswara Prayoga, which is often accepted, right? We call it as Natya Sangeeta, maybe to facilitate the Abhinaya. And I have also observed that there is a difference of usage of these ragas for each of the Kirtana when it comes to Bharatanatyam, Kuchipudi, and Perini Lasyam also. I heard some of the songs. For the same song, I could find several ragas employed, right? After the music part, let us try to understand the tala structure in the Adhyatma Ramayana Kirtanas. Now, Munipalla Subramanya Kavi demonstrated the discernment and the accessibility of his choice of rhythmic structures. We call them as talas for his Kirtanas, predominantly employing the simple and widely practiced talas such as Adi Tala, Rupaka Tala, Triputa, Jhampe, and the Chap talas. Among these Adi talas, probably features most prominently underscoring his preference for rhythmic clarity and structural familiarity. Probably he must have chosen Adi Tala. A quantitative survey of his compositions reveals that Aditala is employed in 57 Kirtanas, Atatala in 31 Kirtanas, Jhampatala almost all for 8 Kirtanas, Rupaka in 4, Triputa in 3 compositions. Interestingly, although a number of Kirtanas in the printed editions are marked like, they are set to Atatala. The performance practice, especially among the musicians belonging to the Sishya Parampara, disciple lineage, we call it as, of Munipalli Subramanya Kavi, consistently they favors rendering these pieces in Chaputala only. Like this suggests that Chaputala, with its natural and little rhythmic gait, may have resonated more deeply with practitioners and audience probably alike. Its prevalence within the Bhajana Sampradaya and its comparative ease in execution, especially when contrasted with the more intricate structures of classical Chaputalas, it contributed its adoption probably in practice, despite the notational inconsistencies, I must say. Probably musicians have to, confirm this statement, endorse this statement. In fact, in dance choreography, these chaptalas and aditala are much easier for more appealing. The tala nadaka, we say, with the jati pattern is employed depicting a scene. This is more useful for a sanchari abhinaya. To give you an example, sanchari is where we try to depict a scene through action, right? So this is called as sanchari abhinaya. Sanchari abhinaya, we adopt two techniques. One is the vakyardhabhinaya and the other one is padardhabhinaya and the other one is nrittabhinaya. Vakyardhabhinaya is taking the full sentence as a whole and enacting the gist of the vakya. And padardhabhinaya is pada artha abhinaya. That means enacting or showing, doing the abhinaya for each and every word to express the meaning of that particular word. That is called as padardhabhinaya. Nutta, as we were discussing about the tala structure, we will narrate the jati, we will be singing or rendering the jati pattern, yet we are conveying the message, we are conveying the story there. This is called as Nrittabhinaya. So the Chaputala and the Aditala 8 in count. Takka dhimmi, takka jenu, takka dhimmi, takka jenu, takka dhimmi, takka jenu, takka dhimmi, takka jenu. This is Aditala Nadaka, right? When it comes to Chaputala, we have Khanda and Mishra. Khanda is for 5 count. Takka, takkitta, takka, takkitta, takka, takkitta, takka, takkitta, takka, takkitta, takka, takkitta. Mishra is 7. Takkitta, takka, dhimi, takkitta, takka, dhimi. Now let me employ this Khanda and Mishra Chaputalas to enact a episode. I'm not going into the details of episode because most of us are aware of, all of us are aware of the Maricha's episode where Ravana invites Maricha and asks him to go in a disguise of a deer to the Panchavati where Rama and Sita are living. And Maricha goes there and tries to attract Sita. And Sita requests Rama to bring the deer to him. Rama goes and, he kills Maricha, right? To employ this kind of Chaputala in portrayal of an episode is quite a challenging for the artist. Yet, Kuchipudi Bhagavatulu like PVG Krishna Sarma Garu, Guru Vempata Chinnasatyam Garu, and Vedantam Radheshyam Garu, all these people, Vedantam Parvati Sangaru, all these people have employed this technique so beautifully and handed it over to the Sishya Parampara. Let me do the Chaputala part of it. Takkitta takka dhimmi, takkitta takka dhimmi, takkitta takka dhimmi, tam, 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 takkitta takka dhimmi, takkitta takka dhimmi, takkitta takka dhimmi, tam, 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 takkitta takka dhimmi, takkitta takka dhimmi, takkitta takka dhimmi, tam, 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 takkitta takka dhimmi, takkitta takka dhimmi, takkitta takka dhimmi, tam, tam, tam. takkitta takkadhimi, takkitta takkadhimi, takkitta takkadhimi, tam tam tam, takkitta takkadhimi, takkitta takkadhimi, takkitta takkadhimi, tam tam tam, takkitta takkadhimi, takkitta takkadhimi, takkitta takkadhimi, takkitta tam tam, takkitta takkadhimi, takkitta takkadhimi, takkitta takkadhimi, tam tam tam, takkitta takkadhimi, tam tam tam, takkitta takkadhimi, takkitta takkadhimi, takkitta takkadhimi, tam tam tam, takkitta takkadhimi, tam tam tam, takkitta takkadhimi, takkitta takkadhimi, takkitta takkadhimi, tam tam tam. Till now I have employed the Mishra, and now as and when the Maricha goes deep into the forest and increases its speed by going away from that place, we employ the Khanda Chapu. Takatakita, 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 tam tam, tattakita, 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 tai tai, takatakita, 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 tam tam, tattakita, 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 tai tai. This is how we employ the jati pattern or the nritta into the dance, so to enact a particular episode. So the tala structure is much more easier for us to adopt to the scene. The chaputalas are more convenient. When it comes to the nritta, aditala is more convenient. Now, moving further into the dance genre, the epic story with its legendary characters allow the performers to add new dimensions and interpretation to their choreography. Now, these kind of nritta are much more easier for us to adopt into the Yuddhakanda. As I was telling you that, there are almost 47 kirtanas depicting the Yuddhakanda. In a Yuddhakanda, we employ Arabhati Vritti. What is an Arabhati Vritti? When it comes to the style of presentation, where there is a valor, vigor, heroism, soldiers going here and there, fighting with each other, fist fighting, the sword fighting, the gada fighting, fighting with the mace and everything. So for these kind of employment and incorporating a different kind of dramatic expressions to create that rasa among the audience, tattakita, takatakita, rattakita tam tam, tattakida, rattakida, rattakita tam tam, takatakita, 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 kradadaritam, tattakita tam tam, kradadaritam, tatakitam, rattakita, kradadaritam. So these things, by employing these things, that would create rasa, and that will allow the audience to merge with the story. This is what Kuchipudi dancers have taught to the next generations. Now, Munipalla Subramanya Kavi's Kirtanalu represent a significant confluence of devotional literature and performing arts in Telugu cultural sphere. As we all know, the ultimate goal of any art is to create rasa in the spectators. How sacred are, the storytelling, poetry, and dance come together to form the Adhyatma Ramayana Kirtanas and their beautiful embodiment in Kuchipudi. When we talk about Indian dance or Kuchipudi, any dance as a matter of fact, when it comes to the enactment of or dancing of Adhyatma Ramayana Kirtanas, we are not just talking about the movement. We are talking about the storytelling. We are talking about the devotion. We are talking about bringing the age-old spiritual wisdom to life, not just for the audience, but within ourselves. And in this context, Adhyatma Ramayana, particularly through the lens of Munipalla Subramanya Kavi's Kirtanas, offers an incredibly rich, poetic, and emotionally resonant source. Yeah, as I told you that, Natyam tan Natakan chaiva pujyam purva kadhaitam. Natya has got a story in it. Kuchipudi, by its very nature, is a storytelling dance. It is expressive. It is theatrical. It blends with music, literature, rhythm, and abhinaya in a very unique way. The Kirtanas of Subramanya Kavi naturally slide into the format because they already carry the drama, the bhava, the devotion, and the clarity of narrative that dancers really look for. Now, let me give you another example. In a Kirtana where Rama breaks the Shiva's bow, in the Kirtana, the poet doesn't just describe the moment, he builds the tension, the awe, the stunned silence of the onlookers. Now imagine that scene unfolding in Kuchipudi, the dancer holding the delicate pose, slowly building the anticipation with the every movement, and the sudden snap of the bow. It's cinematic, but more than that, it is spiritual. Immediately after the Sivadhanasu, we all know that, it ends with the Sita Kalyanam. Similarly, in the Sita Kalyanam, we can understand the bashfulness of Sita Devi, the performance of the marriage, right? So this is described in another song. Kalyanamu vinave, nedu kalyanamu vinave. Kalyanamu vinave, nedu Sita Kalyanamu vinave. Kalyanamu vinave, nedu Sita Kalyanamu vinave. కళ్యాణమయమైన కళ్యాణపురమున కళ్యాణమయమైన కళ్యాణపురమున కళ్యాణ ప్రదోడము అహల్యవరదుని కళ్యాణమయమైన కళ్యాణపురమున కళ్యాణవరదుని అహల్యవరదుని కళ్యాణము వినవే నేడు సీత కళ్యాణము వినవే. కళ్యాణము వినవే నేడు సీత కళ్యాణము వినవే. కళ్యాణము వినవే నేడు సీత కళ్యాణము వినవే నేడు సీత కళ్యాణము వినవే. In this particular episode, we try to delineate the entire process of marriage depending upon the regional practices. We call it as pravrutti. If it is Andhra region, yeah, the tying of the Mangala Sutra is very important. But when it comes to the pravrutti of the North Indian, going around the Saptapadi and then going around the sacrificial fire pit is the more important thing. So depending upon the regional practices, we try to adopt all these pravrittis and we demonstrate based on the sabha where we are presenting it. The beauty of these kirtanas is, what beautiful here is the dancer doesn't need to invent the drama. It's already embedded in the lyrics and the rhythm. The dance becomes a medium not to perform, but to embody the devotion and experience it. Now, when we are talking about the different emotions and different sentiments, apart from the Ashtarasas that Bharata has delineated in his Natya Shastra, we also have several other rasas called Vatsalya rasa, Preyo rasa, and several other rasas. Now, another Kirtana is about Kaushalya, right? So, how fortunate are Yashoda and Kaushalya that Paramatma himself born to them. Not only he was born to them, but he revealed his tattva to his own mothers like Yashoda and Kaushalya. That we will see in this Adhyatma Ramayana Kirtana. శ్రీరాముని గాంచెను పార్వతీ వినవే శ్రీరాముని కాంచెను పార్వతీ వినవే మన కౌసల్య ఆత్మారాముని గాంచెను మన కౌసల్య ఆత్మారాముని గాంచెను శ్రీరాముని గాంచెను మన కౌసల్య ఆత్మారాముని గాంచెను శ్రీరాముని గాంచెను తోరమై హర్షాశ్రుపూరము కన్నుల జారా తోరమై హర్షాశ్రుపూరము కన్నుల జారా భయ సంభ్రమాశ్చర్యములు పెనగొనగా భయ సంభ్రమాశ్చర్యములు పెనగొనగా శ్రీరాముని గాంచెను పార్వతీ వినవే మన కౌసల్య శ్రీరాముని గాంచెను. In this, Atmaramuni Ganchenu. The very term Atmarama is like Putravai Atmanamasi. We all know this. Like Atmaramuni Ganchenu is his son of Kausalya. In that way, we can say the placing the hand on the stomach. I'm sorry, the visual is not, probably the distance is not perfect here. Placing the Patakahasta on the stomach, saying that Atmaram, he is my son. Atmaramuni. That is the pleasure that any mother would enjoy. Atmaramuni Ganchenu. With the Vatsalya. When Kausalya looked at Rama, he gave a darshan with the 4 arms, I believe. With the 4 arms and a crown on his head. So looking at such Bala, Rama, Harshasrapuramu, Kannulajara, Bhayasambhramascharyamulla, Atmaramani Ganchan. That Atmarama is a revelation. So how do we depict this revelation? As you know, we are invoking the Shat Chakras, starting from the Mooladhara. Atmaramuni Ganchenu. This opening of the Sahasrara would reveal that this is the ultimate Adhyatma, right? Atmaramuni Ganchenu. So bringing in the spirituality into the dance, that, that's the reason I called my presentation as embedded devotion or embodied devotion, right? So we are not just enacting the story, we are allowing the values, the philosophy, and the rasa of the Ramayana to take the root within us. The dancer becomes a devotee. The performance becomes a prayer. After the Vatsalya rasa, in portraying the Karuna rasa, the Ahalya's episode is the best one. Now, as I was telling you, that, we also talk about the Natya, Nritya and Nritta. Sorry. In describing a particular episode or a story, we need to think about the artha of the song, not just the artha, that's meaning. We explore into the Gupta artha, Guda artha, Tattva artha, Tatvika artha, Vishesha artha, Adhyatmika artha. We need to explore from different dimensions, or we should reveal the different layers of a particular piece. By enacting each and every episode, we are, unfolding the different layers of artha embedded into the Adhyatma Ramayana Kirtanas. Sharanu Sharanani Ramachandruni Ahalya Sannutinchanu. Again, I'm not going to sing the entire song, but just a small demo where the Karuna Rasa is involved, right? The Ahalya, when she realizes that Rama is here, Rama's feet, through Rama's feet, she got her form back. And she wanted to touch the feet of Rama and look into his eyes. But she's afraid that with the body that, with the curse of her own husband, she couldn't dare to look into his eyes. So she wept. She cried, and with her tears, with that, just a small thing. This is in third person, by the way. So Adhyatma Ramayana Kirtanas always are in third person. Sometimes we enact in first person, sometimes in third person. This is in third person, but the enactment is in first person, right? Sharanu Saranani Ramachandruni Ahalya Sannutinchenu. Sharanu Sharanani Ramachandruni Ahalya Sannutinchenu. Sharanu Sharanani Ramachandruni Ahalya Sannutinchenu. With this body, Rama, I cannot look into your eyes. Sharanu Sharanani Ramachandruni Ahalya Sannutinchenu. Sharanu Sharanani Ahalya Sannutinchenu. Oh Rama, let me wash your feet with my tears. Oh Rama. Involved into the character, the tears will automatically roll down for any artist. So this song goes like this. Arudara Arkhya Padyamulichi Harsha Vispuritakshiyai Minchi Pulakinchi Nicharana Niraja Paragamunanu Duritamelanu Tolagenaha Garimato Krutarthanaitini Jagat Prabho Kamala Vibho. So this is about the Karuna Rasa. I would like to end with the one Veera Rasa, sir, if you permit me, maybe for 1 minute, because I would like to discuss about the Veera Rasa, which is classified into Dharma Veera, Dana Veera, and Yuddha Veera. When it comes to Sri Rama, we always talk about the Dharma Veera, but not the Yuddha Veera. So when it comes to Yuddha Veera, normally we do like this, and we'll be doing this. This is the Veeratva we showcase. But when it comes to Rama, Purushottama, Maryada Purushottama. So in Cheri Vinave, wherein Parsurama encounters Rama, in that song, we see the subtle nuance that we have adopted into the Kuchipudi dance to demonstrate the Veeratva of Rama. చేరి వినవెసౌరి చరితము గౌరీ సుకుమారి గిరివర కుమారి చేరి వినవెసౌరి చరితము గౌరీ సుకుమారి గిరివర కుమారి వారి చక్షుడతటను శ్రీమీరి వేట్కతో నయోధ్యకు కోరి పోగు దారిలో నృపవైరి అయిన పరశురాముడు కారు మొగల కరణి చాపధరుడై కాల మృత్యువోయనగా పంక్తిరదుకెదురేగి నిలిచి హరి ఎదుటను నిలిచి పలికెను వీరాధి వీరుడని ఎరుంగక. Look at the Veeradhi Veera. Veeradhi, Veeradhi. That is with the Vinayam. Whereas Veera, Veeradhi. Normally we do that. When it comes to Maryada Purushottam, Veeradhi, Veerudani Yerungaka. So, understanding the character, understanding the nuances of the lyrics, one has to apply the abhinaya. This is for what the Kuchipudi is very, very famous for. Let me close with a thought. As dancers, musicians, and rasikas, we have this beautiful responsibility to keep these stories alive, not just as entertainment, but as vehicles of inner growth. The Adhyatma Ramayana gives us the so-called map, I must say, to navigate around. The Kirtanas are the poetic compass, and Kuchipudi gives us the wings. With this, I conclude my today's talk, and I profoundly thank Dr. Nagaraju Pathuri Garu for giving me this wonderful opportunity to share my thoughts on Adhyatma Ramayana Kirtanas. Thank you so much, sir. Namaste.
Thank you, ma'am. It was really an amazing presentation. There was both performance and analysis. So people were enjoying the music, and also your though limited dance movements, your hastas, your abhinaya details. And there was a definite analysis also. And you gave a historical overview of how the genre emerged in the Kuchipudi tradition also. That is not a new phenomena. The emergence of this is at least 150, 200-year-old development. So, thank you very much for presenting from a classical dance trained professional perspective all the details of that genre, Adhyatma Ramayana Kirtana genre. I think it has gone into Bharatanatyam from Kuchipudi, or maybe it traveled from the Ekaharyaka Natya parampara of temple dancers. Also, we are not very clear. There is no documentation of from where to where it traveled.
Yes, sir.
So, if it has been there in the Devadasi Natya, then we can say that into Bharatanatyam it has gone from Devadasi Nritya only. But C.R. Acharya in his book, he guesses that it traveled from the Devadasi Natya only into Kuchipudi. This is his guesswork. He doesn't provide any documentation in that book for his guesswork. So for the time being, we can say that it is there in both the traditions, both in Kuchipudi and what we call Andhra Natyam or Vilasini Natyam. Thank you very much, ma'am.